Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining our show. My name is Kathy McCoy.
And my name is Mark Wainwright. Welcome to the Veterans Advocate Series.
We're really excited today to be here to talk to you about our newly formed partnership, which is advocating for veterans.
We recognize that as veterans come back to their civilian lives from military, they face many challenges. Some of these challenges include, wow, how do I get the resources that I need in order to get the jobs? Or how do I find the compensation and benefits that I earned while I was in the service? So the question is, why? And then, so what we try to do is help them to get these things so they can take care of themselves and their families as they return to the service. So Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that they face?
Absolutely. The side that I work on, which is called Veterans Claims Advocates, basically is a company that advocates for and supports veterans. What we do is we contest, or basically we fight claims for veterans. So oftentimes a veteran will come back from their active duty and they'll be injured in some capacity. And so they earned benefits, whether it's compensation or benefits regarding those injuries. And it could be an injury that they received while on active duty or a medical issue that they had already had when they went into the service, but it was aggravated while they were in the service. So they come home and they want to fill out a claim to send it into the Veterans Administration to get some sort of compensation. And it sounds simple. It sounds like a simple process, but it really isn't. It's very, very confusing. And oftentimes, more often than not, they are denied with their claims.
Are they told when they're denied or why they were denied?
They are. Unfortunately, you can be denied a claim for a very minute reason. It could be something as simple as not having your service number correct, for example, or maybe somebody forgot to add a medical record. Because the way it works is the VA does not have a duty to assist in terms of helping you win your claim. Their duty to assist is all about giving you the records that you need, your file, and the records that you need from your service. But that doesn't mean that they help you win your claim. And if you're not familiar with the process, which is very, very detailed, navigating through that process, then you're usually going to be denied, and it's very sad.
Well, that sounds very dizzying.
It is.
Especially since, I'm sure as they go up or try to fix their claim, they probably could be rejected again.
Well, oftentimes they don't even know once they get there what they call a rating decision from the VA, rating decision saying denied. They figure, okay, I lost, and now I'm out of luck, and, they don't have anywhere to turn. They don't understand that they have rights and that they're able to appeal that decision. And so that's where we come in. We take a look at their claim, and we decide whether or not we think that it was denied erroneously, and if so, we fight that claim for them before the Board of Veterans Appeals.
Wow.
So we kind of take over power of attorney for that particular area for them, so that we can just take over for them and just go right through the process for them. They don't have to deal with it.
I could see where they're like that.
Yes.
And then it's kind of similar on the Higher Patriot side, because what happens is it's just not that simple of a process for them either. As they come back from the service, they're facing a 7.9% unemployment rate currently.
Wow. That's higher for veterans
That
too,
is
isn't it?
much higher for veterans. So what we try to do at Higher Patriots is we try to give them a single place that they can go to look for jobs. At this job board, there will be full-time jobs and one-day jobs.
One-day jobs.
Yes,
I didn't know they had one-day
yes,
jobs.
yes. So full-time jobs are really for the veterans, people who are outside of the service. The one-day jobs are for people who might still be in the service or their spouses, because very often they find themselves in tight financial positions where they need a little extra money to kind of help the lights back on again, or something else that could have happened along the way.
So the spouses can actually do the one-day
absolutely.
jobs.
So the spouses can do the one-day jobs
I
too.
think that's great. I think that the one-day jobs are very beneficial in so many ways, especially for a veteran who may be coming back, who's injured, whether it's physically or psychologically, who is not in a position to work a full-time job. It would be nice to work a one-day job or a 1 or 2, 3-day job just to get some money in their pocket.
Absolutely.
That's
So
wonderful.
we really find that to be a great service, and that's probably one of the more exciting parts about the Hire Patriots job, and that's what they get the most feedback on in general, because they go out and they do these one-day jobs, and of course they're talking to military people, so they're very obedient, they're very yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, and that makes the people who
Easy
are
to
getting
work
these
with.
services feeling very good about the veterans who are in the community, and then they tend to talk more about it, and then tell other people about what Hire Patriots does. But together, all this helps that veteran or the even active people just kind of help ends meet and help their transition back to the civilian life.
Great. So Mark, before we move on a little further, why don't we tell everybody how we know each other and how we sort of came together with similar interests?
So Kathy and I have been friends for a very long time.
Long time.
So I'm not going to embarrass ourselves by telling you the years, but essentially what happens is we're childhood friends. We participated in a lot of the same social things like the Civil Air Patrol, which is an auxiliary of the Air Force.
Kind of like a mini service.
Right. We've always had the same type of social interests, so we would find ourselves in the same groups, supporting the same types of causes.
We went to the same college.
Yes, we did.
We did kind of follow each other around for a long time.
I was in a fraternity, she was in a sorority.
Yeah.
And our fraternities and sororities always did things together.
Right.
And all through this time, we always found ourselves doing things that were similar because we had similar interests and we wanted to do similar type things. We always supported the same type of things. So our friendship was always very natural, and now we're at this point where
we sort of want to pay it forward.
Absolutely pay it forward. We're at a part in our lives right now where we really want to enter the workforce again and working with people who have really made a difference, who we could really help out and feel good about what we're doing.
That's right. That's excellent. So how did I become involved in all of this?
That's a very good question.
So the way I became involved with veterans claims advocates is really because of my father. My father was a veteran of the Korean War, and he is a disabled veteran. So my father, while he was in the Korean War, he contracted tuberculosis, which is a very, very serious disease. Even today it is. But back then, it was even more serious. There was not a vaccine for it, and he was very ill from that. So after he returned home from Korea, he was hospitalized for a year and a half, and he was basically quarantined because of the tuberculosis.
Right. That's almost hard to imagine how that would be, because we're always talking about different veterans and the situations they face. Everyone has, different challenges.
Exactly.
But on top of trying to find the jobs, on top of trying to get the compensation that they've earned, now they're being pulled out of the service and can't even get back into their civilian life because they're pulled into quarantine in order to take care of tuberculosis.
And there are so many different reasons why people can't just jump right back into society and acclimate. And like my father's situation, this was a long time ago, back in 1954 is when he got out of the Korean War. That's when that war ended. So when he was in the Korean War, he contracted the tuberculosis. And when he came home, by the time he came home, he was very, very ill. And so when I was a child, I would always see my father sitting at the table writing. And I'd always say, Dad, what are you writing? What are you writing? And he'd say, I'm writing to the VA. I'm writing to the VA. Because what he was doing was, he was writing his own claims, and he was advocating for himself after being denied, after already coming out of the service ill. My father ended up having part of his lung removed, so he had a lot of residual medical issues naturally from this situation. So my dad back then advocated for himself because they did not have people like us who advocated. They did not have attorneys that advocated for veterans. It was up to them to write their own claim, to fight their own claim, to present their own claim, and to stand in front of whatever board, the original jurisdiction, and then if that's denied, the Board of Veterans' Appeals. Can you imagine standing there by yourself, already being in a predicament that is really untimely, having to deal with this on your own?
So you're a fish out of water, truly, right?
Correct.
Because again, you're trying to work on that transition period that a lot of people have issues with. And on top of that, you're put into a situation where you're fighting a rule set that you just really don't have enough
no
time
idea.
to become a real professional with.
That's right.
So I could really see the need for that type of service.
So what happened with my father is because of all the years, I'm talking decades when I say all the years, because he was compensated a little bit here and there, but he was not compensated for what really happened to him. So for years, it turned into decades.
Right.
He would write these letters, and I would watch him, and he became an expert at navigating the system, the basic Code of Federal Regulations, which talks all about benefits and compensations for veterans. So what happened was my father, because he worked so hard all these years, he ended up advocating for other people and helping other people because he couldn't stand by and watch people go through what he went through on his own. So he ended up advocating, and I watched my father all those years, and I was involved with what he was doing, and then it turns out in the end that I ended up doing the same thing as my dad, and we actually work alongside each other right now doing this.
Well, I certainly hope that you don't use the same yellow pads with carbon paper.
No, thank God for computers.
Yes, they certainly do help.
The process, however, is not any easier to navigate,
well, that is
unfortunately.
So anyway, that's what it's all about, though. So essentially what we're talking about is commonalities.
Right.
It's about caring. It's about taking care of each other. So a little bit about myself is that I've worked as an EMT, a firefighter. I worked in some social services. And then in the later part of my life, I worked for defense contractors. So like I worked for MIT, Lincoln Laboratory, and BAE Systems. So in those capacities, like the last two I mentioned, I was a defense contractor, kind of working on the goods and services that veterans needed, just to do what they had to do in the field in order to prosecute these wars. You know, like everybody in the defense contractor field, we all were very proud of what we were doing, and we took a certain amount of urgency in making sure that our products did what they needed to do to protect the young men and women who were in the field. Right. So just in doing that, I learned an affinity or had an affinity to the warfighter because I really did want to make sure that they were okay. And just on the same subject of caring, it was really the same as a firefighter, really the same in social services or an EMT, really caring for people. So those are the types of things, like we mentioned before in some of the other social organizations we belong to, you know, we did always care. And we always had a chance to exercise our caring for people. So now here we are at a place where it's like two sides of the coin, right? So on one side is, of course, the veterans claim side that you work, and then on the other side is the job side that I work.
Well, on the veterans claim side, the difficulty, approximately 40% of the claims that are initially filed by veterans are denied right out of the gate, 40%. I mean, that's ridiculous. Actually, I think it's a little bit higher than that. And mostly erroneously, okay? And believe it or not, 10% of the service men and women who come out of active duty and come home don't realize that they have benefits due them that they earned. They're not even aware of it. It sounds out of this world, but it's absolutely the truth. So that's why we are here. And my company is based out of New Hampshire. However, we represent people throughout the United States because it's all the same. No matter where anybody lives, the claim process is the same, and representation can be supplied throughout the United States. So, Mark, what about on the veteran side? I mean, how many people are actually unemployed?
So those estimates are pretty wide, but the ones that I pretty much go with is most veterans, so about 700,000 veterans to 1 million are unemployed.
That's unbelievable.
It's a very high number.
Unemployed? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So that's called Mark Beard, who is the president of Higher Patriots, and just recently put out a book that should be in the book stands, I think, in April, which is already 34 on the bestseller list.
That's great.
Calls it a national tragedy, and it truly is.
It is.
So here we are in a position where we train our men and women to be ready for battle. They go into battle, they go into warfare and serve in the service with valor, and then they come home, and where is that training? Where is that? Where is the same things that we help them to do or train them to
On the way in.
to do for the service, where is that training when they get out in order to come back to their regular lives?
Right, often it falls through the cracks.
There seems to be something missing there.
Right.
And that's an obligation that we have talked about often.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to cover right now. We're trying to cover that obligation that we truly think we have in order to make sure that the transition coming back is supported. And that's basically how we support it.
So supporting, that's a nice segue into our fundraisers.
Yes.
Supporting the cause. And how do you go about doing that in terms of Hire Patriots?
So we support the cause by pretty much doing the types of things. Oh, obviously, we talked about the job bulletins and things like that. And we have blogs and things that will address veterans issues. But the thing that really helps to fuel it is the fundraisers. We like to call them fundraisers because we really want them to be fun. We want to energize people.
Right.
We want people to feel excited and get involved. So on a very high level, these fundraisers are going to involve everybody. They're going to involve the companies who are hiring these veterans, the individuals who had the one-time jobs for these veterans, all of the volunteers who are helping to support these veterans, and we're going to try to bring the whole community on top of that to kind of tell their story in an atmosphere that's fun and exciting. So there'll be comedians, we'll have music, dancing, we'll have some, we're working on some of the legal casino gambling end of it.
Do you have any fundraisers that are coming up
We
in
have
the near
a
future?
lot that are being planned right now. We don't have any dates that are really solid yet, but we'll be putting those up on my website, and I'm sure you'll be
And
nice
what's your
enough to put
website?
it. My website is hirepatriots.com/new-hampshire, where you can see obviously the jobs, that I was referring to for Hire Patriots, as well as the fundraisers and the dates.
Well, it's important to stick to the fun part because of all the hard work that everybody does and all the commitment. You need to have a little bit of fun because all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy.
Great point, great point. And then, of course, the fun keeps people energized.
That's right.
And that keeps people excited. And we do not want to focus on the negative because there's too many sad stories around. And
There
we're
are.
all, unfortunately,
And they're
those
real.
are the easy ones to talk about. But what we really want to do is talk about our successes and the enjoyment that we can have in making things successful. Because that's what really gets people going. That's what keeps them involved. And that's the side that we want to look at.
Exactly.
So I don't know exactly where to go to from here, but maybe we should start talking a little bit about wrapping up everything that we're trying to cover.
Well, we talked about an awful lot of information today, but what we would really like people to go away with today is that we are here to educate and we're here to advocate for veterans. And it's not just us, it's the community. And it's really very important that the community gets involved in this because oftentimes it's the veterans' family members and loved ones that find that the veterans are in need of help. So for example, Mark, if somebody is sick that you know who's sick either physically or psychologically in life in general, who is it that takes care of the people that are sick?
Obviously, it's their friends and family.
Right. So
Because
oftentimes we get notified by family members and friends as opposed to veterans because the family members and the friends are the ones that notice something's wrong here. Something's wrong with my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, whoever the veteran may be. Because who knows a veteran more than their own family, right? So we need to all be involved. It needs to be a sort of, it takes a village thing. Everybody needs to be involved in order to help the veterans. It's not just the veterans, it's the people. It's their community and the people who are in their family that really need to help the veteran.
Right. And then as we talk about that, we always want to get back to another theme. So we want to help, and we will help, and we're going to get the community to support them, but we're going to try to do that in a very fun and energizing atmosphere,
Right.
with our fundraisers.
Right.
With our fundraisers.
That's great.
So educate, advocate. That's something that we always talk about, and that's something we always want to make sure that people understand.
And we also want everybody to know, too, when they do contact us, and I can be contacted at a toll-free number, 1-855-I'm-4-VETS. We want everybody to know that we actually encourage calls from family members, from friends. We encourage calls from the community, people who have ideas or people who may see somebody who is in need. We believe that there are no bad questions, just like your second grade or your favorite elementary teacher that always said, there are no bad questions. That's the truth, because if we don't ask the questions and we don't bring up the situations, then we can't help the veterans. And I think it takes a village, it takes all of us to come together as one to try to help the veterans out, and that's what we're really looking for.
Absolutely. And something I didn't mention earlier, which I want to throw in, is that you'll see a lot more of the Higher Patriots. So we'll be out in the newsstands, should be next week in People Magazine.
Good.
People Magazine's doing a feature on us. It's Heroes Among Us. And what they'll do is basically talk about the heroes that are among us, as well as Higher Patriots, and what we're really doing to help people out. So
Great.
that's just very exciting, again, on the positive side. And we're going to be talking a lot more about those things, in our fundraisers.
And then also in our series, because this is only one of a series in a program,
Exactly.
we'll have, we'll be interviewing some veterans and some business owners so that we can talk about all the positives and how people are coming together to help.
Right. And so what we're trying to do there, in addition to talking about the positives, we want to break down a lot of the barriers that people are finding. It's difficult to look at these organizations and say, hey, I want to join, I want to do things right away. You wonder what you're getting involved with. So at these fundraisers, you'll be able to talk to these people. We're going to have them up on stage, and they'll be able to talk about their experiences, just to make sure that we're taking care of everyone's kind of hesitations, so we can get more people involved. And it's really going to be fun, enriching, enlightening to everyone.
That's excellent.
Again, my name is Mark Wainwright. You can reach me at higherpatriots.com/new-Hampshire. My telephone number is 603-396-5039. Again,
my name is Kathy McCoy, and I can be reached at www.injuredintheservice.com or at 1-855-I'm4Vets. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And please look for us in our upcoming series.
And that upcoming series will consist of several shows. We will be featuring everybody who's involved with our efforts. We'll be talking to companies, individual and companies who have hired veterans to talk about their experiences. We'll be talking to the veterans themselves, and maybe some of the veterans' families who have been involved with us and their experiences. Of course, with the communities. We'll be having these fundraisers where we'll be just trying to really reward everybody who's been involved to make sure that we're keeping the energy level up and everyone's getting the recognition they deserve for not only their service to the country, but for our service to our veterans who are coming back from their duty.
Thank you so much. Have a great and healthy day.
Take care. We'll see you soon. Good night.
Over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere. So prepare